Ambedkarism, Marxism, liberalism, Dravidianism, feminism, Gandhiism. What role are these great big isms of the 20th century playing in the 21st century? What relevance do they have today?
Have a tree.
I'm an atheist in the same way as I'm an leprechaun.
Why have there been casteism existing in the country still today?
Feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal
So the
rights.
nature of the system is to be as mean and rotten as you can, to try to maximize profit.
I'm Sudipto Mondal, and welcome to this episode of What's Your Ism?
In this week's What's Your Ism, we speak with Saraswathi, a prominent Kannada writer, poet, playwright, translator, theatre artist, and activist based in Bengaluru. Active since the early 1980s, she's been a significant figure in Karnataka's feminist, Ambedkarite, and Marxist movements.
Abba, here we go. Saraswathi, thank you so much for finally agreeing to come on the show. Before I start any discussion, I want to get into this thing of, so you are an actor, you have been on stage half your life, and why was it so difficult for me to get you here in front of a camera? What is this aversion to the camera? I can call you Akka, no? Saraswaka.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm an activist also.
That
First.
also.
Yeah.
But this camera thing, I never expected this. What is the aversion?
I don't know. I just have to dig it. I'm not very comfortable in front of a camera. I'm good on the stage. I feel somebody's, watching me continuously. So maybe I think I feel it is an invasion on my privacy, which I respect. It is part of our dignity, I feel. But I have nothing against the people who are using the camera or the media. But this is my own limitation and block.
No, in fact, I wanted to come to either you or to Lakshmana to get to attend a workshop with you so that I can get comfortable in front of the camera. I'm a print person. So coming in front of the camera, doing all this was really difficult for me. So I was thinking maybe if I did a theatre workshop, it'll be easier.
It'll be easier to face the people. I don't mind, talking to people, to be in front of the people, in front of big crowd. That's fine with me. But this camera watches you consistently. Not the human beings, not blinking. At least sometimes you will yawn, you'll look here, look there. You're not consistently, watched. So this, I think, I feel, this is something like a
Okay.
invasion.
So, for an hour, let's try and forget that there's a camera here. Let's try and focus on what we have thought we will discuss. Now, Akka, I followed you from when I started my career in Karnataka as a cub reporter. I've been following your work. I think it was in 2008 or 9 that I was sent on an assignment to cover one of your plays. So your work, your career spans or straddles activism, writing, theatre, poetry. There's a whole range of things in that domain that you do. But before I get into that, I want to go into this whole journey, Aita. Just think of me as somebody who's, we are sitting in some bus stop or some tea shop and you're telling me your life story. That's what I hope to achieve from this discussion. But before that, I want to do a small focused discussion on a very important development that's happened recently, which I'm sure has given you a lot of satisfaction. The regularization of the Parakarmika workers in Karnataka, in Bangalore. 12,600 people have been regularized after decades of struggle. It's in your activism, of the two things that you have kept consistently at, one is Parakarmika workers and the other is garment workers. Now tell me, what does this mean? How big is this? After so many years, 12,000 workers getting regularized. The state government has announced this. May 1st was supposed to be the day that it happened. What does it mean?
Actually, before I answer you, I never considered you as a kabba in the journalism. I have always thought you as a very serious journalist. Um, I feel very happy at the same time. I started my journey with Parakarmikas in 1999. Now I'm a senior citizen.
Can I interrupt you for a second? For those of you watching who are not from Karnataka, do not know what Parakarmika means. Parakarmika means civic worker. The different people who are involved in different activities, including sweeping, carrying the garbage, the whole gamut of workers who are involved in conservancy work are called Parakarmikas. Sorry. Yeah.
There is an interesting history also when they were started called as Parakarmikas. Before they were called as Jadmales, Halal codes, many derogatory name. It was during the B. Basavalingappa, Dalit minister. During his time, he changed the name. The notification came as Parakarmikas. So that's a very important...
Paura means civic,
yes.
Karmika means worker,
yes.
civic worker.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So dignity includes the name also. So that was also, part of the movement. So I feel happy, but at the same time, I also feel it's 25 long years of me getting involved in this movement. Should it take 25 years for the people who clean the cities, clean your toilets, carry the garbage and keep your health? Just the fact that this KR market in Bangalore, every day more than 100 tons of garbage is carried out of the city. So when they are doing such an important work, such a hazardous work, should I feel happy that it took 25 years? But anyway, it happened. It happened because of their struggle. I think I should not own anything. 20 years of struggle, they fought. So they won.
Is it a victory entirely? Because obviously there are still a lot of areas which need to be addressed. There are still some, I think 12,000 is not the full figure, Alva. 12,000 is the figure of people in Bangalore. Is that correct?
12,000 is not the full figure. And there are also people who are involved in carrying the garbage outside, filling into the lorry, driving the lorry. All those people have to be included, and we are asking for they should be brought under direct payment, and then later on they should be regularized. And there is one more section who are manual scavengers. Nowhere in Karnataka underground drainage system is complete. So there are lakhs of pits which is cleaned by this manual scavengers. So there are 5 different types of manual scavengers. One, comes directly under water supply board, one, on daily wage basis, and one on contract. One, they just simply sit with a stick and a bucket and a rope. If you call, they'll come and clean it. There are nearly more than 90 deaths have happened last 10 years. So their struggle is also on.
Right. I picked up on an important thing that you mentioned there, which is that the drainage works have not been completed in the whole of the state? Why in the whole of the state? There are lots of parts of Bangalore, the new parts of Bangalore where the drainage works have not been completed. I want to get a quick comment from you, because we had a discussion about this with one of our previous guests, whose name is Rais Muhammad. He was Ravichandran Batran, comes from a family of civic workers in Tamil Nadu. Because of the caste experience, he converted to Islam. And in the discussion, one of the things he was saying that you can get to know a lot about a civilization based on how it deals with its drainages and toilets.
Yes.
What does this absence of this basic infrastructure, what does it say about our civilization, Akka?
If you tell about civilization, I could immediately connect to Indus Valley civilization, which was, had a very good drainage system. Recently, I went to Dholavira site also. I myself saw, how perfect it is. For me, I still have to search, why from there we have fallen to such kind of a pit where human beings clean the shit of others. So I think it is lack of civic sense from the state and from the civilized society. I feel that. Because in my experience, I have always felt these people, most of them belong to untouchable castes. More than 90-95%. Very few from OBC and very few from Muslim community, who are called as halal codes. Again, it's a derogatory term. Nobody knows, the civilized society hardly knows who cleans their shit, who cleans their cities. They are completely unaware of that. But they are aware of cleanliness of their cities and environment, etc. So this gap really shocked me in the beginning. So Baba Sahib says, when he talks about civic sense, what does he mean? If somebody is in trouble, even if you don't have the same problem, just to extend your hand and hold their hand and walk with them in their struggle to fight against the inequality. So that civic sense, I see the lacuna. So I play the role as, the bridge between.
This civic sense, the lack of it in society is one thing. And then you have social organizations which are trying to, take these issues on, trying to reform society. And when it comes to, particularly to Parakarmikas and your work with Parakarmikas, 3 types of social organizations have kind of coordinated, or at least you have tried to make them coordinate in order to help the struggle of the Parakarmikas. In this case, you have the feminist movement, you have the communist movement, and you have the Ambedkarite movement. I want to talk about that. That's in fact the heart of this discussion. The show is called What's Your Ism? So I think it will be a good way for us to pick the threads of your ism, of the isms that come into play when it comes to issues such as conservancy work, such as purity pollution, such as regularization of Parakarmikas. But before that, I think it's important for us to start at the beginning. And I want to now go into a flashback of your story. You are somebody who started activism as a teenager, 18, 19 years old. You enter activism, theatre, literature, this whole churning that is happening in Karnataka. It's a very interesting time. I had other guests from your generation. It is a very interesting time in Karnataka, right? Because you have this Busa movement happening. You have Busa movement is this literary movement. Google it. Okay, there is the emergence of the Dalit Sangharsha Samiti, the Raita Sangha, the feminist movement. RS and the socialist movement is very much part of the consciousness of Karnataka, and that is when a young Saraswati enters the space. Take a second if you will. Don't have to answer like immediately. Just take, if you want to close your eyes, go back. I want you to think about what you were as a teenager. What was the first spark? How did you come into this?
One is the influence of my parents. Both my parents, they never lived their life as, ours two, we two. We are 4 children. But there was a big community, both from my father's side and my mother's side. So I think since the childhood that you can't live for your own self. In fact, I want to say, what is this self is all about? It's not just me. It is the whole environment. It's the whole people surrounded by me. Not just my parent who gave birth. There are many people who have influenced me. I think from there it began, to have compassion, to feel for the, pain of the others. So in my college...
What were your parents? What were they? And
my
also,
father was a bureaucrat, very strong man, very, with lot of dignity, and never had parents. On his own, that was a big journey. If you start asking about my parents, I just get into they are very dear to me. So my mother also, she had a deep spiritual inclination also. Whatever my, the writing skill and the storytelling skill, whatever the compassion I have, I take it from my mother, and the confidence and the self-respect and the honesty, those things I have imbibed from my father. And he was a very handsome man also. For me, the look of Ambedkar always reminded of my father. And my mother also. I have a very deep influence of my mother. I lost her at a very young age. I was 21. When I was studying in my college, I think in BA, my subject were history, economics, sociology, and GSR Krishnan.
all this is happening in Bangalore.
In Bangalore.
ಯಾವ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ?
We lived in Vailikaval, behind Vailikaval police station. When I was in 10th standard, we shifted to Rajajinagar, 1978. And I was studying in one of the well-known school. I think from there my, in fact, the confrontation began. This area and the school, everything, it was very cozy, comfortable. And I never felt that, I'm a fool. But coming to a different school with a different standard and a different area, I was completely demoralized because I couldn't speak English, and I was scared to express myself in the school. So I started feeling that I'm useful for nothing.
This is happening around middle school, high school?
It was in my 10th standard.
Okay, high school.
So because I could not express myself in English, I can express myself very well, not in English. Though I started studying in English medium from 8th standard, it's my mother, who built up my confidence. I always used to write imposition of the English class, because I was not able to answer in the class when the teacher asked me the question. So the same question has to be rewritten, for 25 times, the answer. So I was coming home and keep on writing, and my mother once asked, what are you doing? This is the imposition. Why did you take the imposition? I said, I don't answer. Why you can't answer? Don't you understand what they teach? I said, no, I perfectly understand. I perfectly understand the story also, what they teach. But why? What stops you? I can't speak good English. I'm scared. So my mother said, if you don't understand, please just look at the dictionary, for the difficult terms. And she took me into the puja room and tell, from next day onwards, you are not going to take the imposition. Tell God that you will answer. Even if you by heart also. Just in front of the teacher, close your eyes. Remember God, Lord Shiva. She was a devotee of Shiva. Close your eyes. If you can't look at your teacher, then give the answer. So next day, I did the same thing. And since then, I stopped. And the teacher was shocked. I think only the last sentence, he swam away. Instead of that, I said, he swim away. Then the teacher was so delighted. She said, he swam away. I'm very happy. So that's the way.
It's an
And
important-
my father, I think my PT teacher scolded my sister, something like that. He just came to the school and said, how dare you beat up a child? He just took him and asked him, that kind of a confidence he had. And he was a very good officer. I think he even got a certificate from the central government, I think, that never used to miss his office, never took leave till his retirement. So these 2
So you would
years...
have hoped that perhaps you would have also become a bureaucrat because a service illidantavaru, they will always expect our children should also get into the services. If he was in KS or was he
I think
IAS?
there was no KS when he took up.
But state
all
services, right?
Yeah, state
So
services.
was
in
he
the-
ever like hopeful that you will do the central services, IAS ena ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು?
He was a social welfare officer. Then he shifted to cooperative department. He very much wanted me to become an officer. At least KS.
And you became an activist at what, almost 1920 or already?
No. I did work in a bank.
Okay.
I did work in a bank, but it was his ambition to, he would have been very happy, but it was not my cup of tea.
So your cup of tea, where did you find it and how did you get into activism? What was the first political... Okay, in terms of politics, so you're a feminist, Ambedkarite. I remember you first time when I met you, you said my first boyfriend is Marx. You remember that? Yeah,
Yes.
my first boyfriend is Marx. And I was like, who is this lady? So yeah, tell me, what was your first
When
love?
I say boyfriend, someone who you deeply love and respect, that's all, not in a... So when I was journeying this, very low period in my life, like first PUC, second PUC, even my PUC was also in a big college, and the whole setup, because of me not speaking in English, all those things, I think it was working out in me. I was feeling very inferior, was not able to recognize my strength. That time, my teacher who used to teach sociology, he started talking about Marxism, about the sociologists. Now I don't remember Weber, Durkheim, and whole this society. Then I started realizing, there is this whole big world which I have not noticed. I have to explore. And one more important thing was, he never liked snobbishness. He allowed the students to speak their mind, even if they speak in wrong English also. And he used to tell in Kannada also if we don't understand English properly. He was an excellent teacher. So that's how, I was introduced to Marxism. I remember very well this sentence, I could I could connect with Marxism and my mother. He said, I think if I may not, I don't remember the exact thing, but he said, Marx says, in my worker's paradise, a worker will work in the morning, do some fishing in the afternoon, read some Plato in the evening. And, everybody, according to their need, they will eat, and according to their efforts, they will work according to their strength. So my mother taught me, don't eat even a handful of rice extra. If you eat, you will be snatching away somebody's food. That means not to waste the food, not to eat more than required. So I could quickly connect, my father, he was an officer. Every Sunday, he used to take the broom and clean the whole house also. And he used to, clean that small gutter, and there was a place where these trees were planted, that concrete construction. He used to get into that and clean that. If somebody comes to our house, I used to feel, Ayya is inside that. And I used to tell, please come and sit. And then, I used to tell my father, we call Ayya. So I told, Ayya, somebody has come. I thought, he'll take the broom and come from backside, and with his, panche lifted up with the broom in the hand, he straight away walked in front of them. That kind of dignity of labor my father had. So I could relate. There was something was there in my family. And I could relate, this is what Marx is, telling. It's not something which goes above my head. So that's how I started Marxism. And during that time only, I was exposed to Vimochana, Forum for Women's Rights. And that was a place, where the Dalit groups came, and the different types of leftist people came there. So I belong to that generation who was open to.
Don't rush through this period. This period is very rich. So Vimochana is happening. A little bit of Marx is happening. For our audiences, describe Vimochana. Describe those times, describe the people, take your time. Which years are we talking about? Which decades are these?
I think it was during my second year degree. I had gone for a NSS camp. They never used to send me out, my parents. So I insisted. I think I went on a hunger strike also. Then my father said, okay, you go. There were teachers also. We built some 10 houses, Janata houses, nearby Bangalore village. There I met my friends Savita and Chitra, who knew Vimochana. And in the evening, we used to have the, discussions in the campfire. So I was really attracted to these two friends of mine. I mean, then they were not friends. The way they used to argue, the way they used to come forward for everything, that inspired me. Then I made friends with them. And then they took me to Vimochana, meetings. And before that, I was doing my theatre. Every year we had a festival. It is a very popular theatre festival. Isihikai Chandru used to perform. He always used to get Best Actor award. So I used to perform. Though I was damn scared to come on the stage, but there is some link with the theatre, I'm very passionate about poetry and my theatre. So these two used to rag me on the road, Savita and Chitra. There was one dialogue, ki takkalapa I do on the stage, like this. So I thought, is this, ragging and all was not there. I said, oh, they are seniors. I just have to shut up and listen to them. So then they became friends in NSS. Then they took me to Vimochana. The first thing that was happening when I went, there was this street theatre practice. So it all began with that. I think I came to the movement because of theatre and songs. So was it who was directing the play? There was one in an ancillary unit of HMT. There was a struggle going on. There was a lengthy song written. Based on that song, there was a performance. ಸುಲಿಗೆಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ತಂಗಿ ನೀನು ಸಿಡಿದೆದ್ದು ಹೋರಾಡು ತಂಗಿ ಸುಲಿಗೆಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ತಂಗಿ ನೀನು ಸಿಡಿದೆದ್ದು ಹೋರಾಡು ತಂಗಿ ಯಂತ್ರ ಹಿಡಿದ ಓ ನನ್ನ ತಂಗಿ ನಸುಕಿನಲ್ಲೇ ದಿಢೀರನೆದ್ದು ಗಡಿಬಿಡಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ರೆಡಿಯಾಗಿ ನೀನು ಅಳುವ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಆರೈಸದೇನೆ ತುಂಬು ಬಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಜೋತಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಉಸಿರು ಗಟ್ಟಿ ಸುಸ್ತಾಗಿ ನೀನು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರಿ ಗೇಟಿಗೆ ಓಡೋಡಿ ಬಂದರೆ ಲೇಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಹೋಗೆಂದು ಹೊರಗಟ್ಟಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟರು ಸುಲಿಗೆಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ತಂಗಿ. This was the thing which was practiced.
Kind of a Marxist feminist song, right? Where
Yes.
you're talking about this woman who's going to a factory.
Yes.
Anyway, ಹೇಳಿ.
Yes.
Please, yeah.
Yes.
Tell me
I
about
mean,
it.
after having done cooking and without bothering about the children who are crying in a rush bus, you come to the factory gates and they say, time is over, they'll throw you out. So I think in the middle of the night they were thrown out, and Vimochana took up that case, and there was a street play, and we did street plays in many places. Whoever used to be absent, I used to do that role. My father did not like me acting. He wanted me to become an
Actually,
officer.
yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, we'll come to that. Just hold that thought. I just want to quickly ask you, what is this? Did your first feminist awakenings happen through Vimochana, or has it happened earlier itself? Where did so Marx, I understand it's getting introduced through this professor. It helps you connect back to what some of the things you've picked up at home in terms of, you talked about dignity. Where did your feminist rumblings? Is it because of
I think it began with my mother only.
Hmm.
My mother, my grandmother, and my mother's elder sister. And I've seen many people in the community. My mother was a very, very strong woman. She was very pious, very... she had a deep, if I look back, she had a very deep spiritual quest. So my mother used to go to the ashram, and she wanted to go for tailoring, and she asked my father to get one sewing machine. And my father got it. I think it was for 600 or 700 rupees, I think. And my mother, in the afternoons, there was a temple in front of our house. There, there were many domestic workers in that area. So she used to make friendship with easily. She was such a sweet person, Everybody felt like talking to her, I think. So she called all of them, and she started telling about her ashram, and she used to read newspapers to them, and she used to stitch blouses for them for 1 rupee, 2 rupee. And very promptly, my mother gave back 600 rupees to my father. Hey, take. I know it's a hard-earned money I've earned. So my mother was like that. Very strong, but never used to make noise. I make a lot of noise. My mother is a very strong person.
And you talked about a group of women there. You're talking about your aunts. These are all Dalit women who have, over centuries, they have imbibed certain forms of resistance. At some point in this conversation, I want to come into this question of their relationship with God. The same God in whose name they have been oppressed, let's say. They find a relationship despite that. And how do they make sense of the divine is an important conversation. Can I
Mm.
again? I don't know how I'm going to keep coming back. I'm going to stack this up again and come to this thing of your father, who did not want you to be a performer. Uh, this is something that I've heard you talk about in passing. Maybe today you'll want to talk about it in detail. What happened actually?
Actually, you have spoken to Shailaja Paik.
Hmm.
I could identify many things what she spoke. The caste oppression is something, which never lets you be free from the past. It's there, that imprint is there. So the kind of oppression, women underwent, my father had witnessed in his village, women becoming devdasis.
Dalit women.
Dalit women becoming devdasis. All those things he had witnessed. And his journey, just imagine a boy, who has studied up to, 6th standard, has traveled all alone to another village to get into, I think, 7th or 8th standard. He goes all alone, asks the teacher to permit me into the school, goes to the landlord, ask the wife, I will clean the dung of these buffaloes, give me food, and takes one gunny bag, and he studies. So he used to tell, if I clean the dung of 25 buffaloes, so she used to throw the roti. And can you imagine, that little boy taking a gunny bag had taken the permission from the teacher to sleep in the school. After I was 40, my father took me to that place, showed me, here I used to sleep. I couldn't control myself. I started crying, sobbing. I said, used to call me Magu. Magu means child. Why are you crying? I said, you were so little. Were you not scared to sleep all alone? And can you imagine some 80, 90 years back, how the place must have been? I said, for us, one single roti and just a place to sleep was enough. And this father of mine, I don't know what is poverty. I don't know what is hunger. I've always worn a good clothes. I think me and my sister were the ones who wore silk langas, the best clothes. He used to iron my uniform, polish my shoes, my children, the way he took care of our hair. I've written a piece called Nanna Ayya, which is taught in 7th standard in the textbook. I've written about my father. In Prajavani, it was carried, many writers, women writers, wrote about their fathers. So I wrote. So I didn't know anything about that. He always stopped us, both my father and mother. They were like, shield, so that my children should not witness any kind of violence. They should get the best and they should become the best. What is the scale? The best is become some top level officer. For my father, that was a big thing. And you can do it. And he believed you are intelligent enough to do it. My brother is a doctor. My brother-in-law is a KS officer. My another brother was in electricity board. So he said, you study. And why? It may sound very anti-feminist, but after having realized what my father really is, I don't say he's a very strong feminist. I have a deep influence of my father. So all this, when he started, because I'm a person who dig. Why it is like that? Why are you telling this?
Why are you telling don't perform on stage?
Yeah, I used to ask my father, So I didn't realize why he is stopping. I was very angry with my father. I thought, he's one, typical patriarchal father. He may have some patriarchal value. That's another thing. So then he told, the stories. When I went there, he said, you are a mad woman. You won't, till you won't understand. He took me. After 75 years, he took me to the place where he was born. Exactly. His memory was so good. All the cooperative act was on his tongue. He took me. Here I was born. This is our community. I want everybody to wear good clothes, go to school, study, become big people. We can become big. But later on, when he understood, my passion, if I don't tell this, I'll be doing injustice to my father. Later on, he accepted. He came to my shows and he used to see in the paper and say, okay, what child, today we are performing. And he was very happy. In that piece I have written, I have failed him. Failed him, not fulfilling his ambition. But he was happy with me. That he accepted and acknowledged. Used to all the protests, whatever the Parakarmika protests, used to cut and keep the newspaper cuttings, the photos. And very dear to me, my father, both my mother also.
I think it is necessary to unpack, because some of these things you're indicating but not going a little deep into. Let me help unpack this. So here is somebody, in this case your father, who's very uncomfortable with the performing arts and Dalit women. In the course of what you're narrating this thing, you also referred to my interview with Shailaja Paik. Shailaja Paik talks about what? The politics of, along with modernity among Dalit families, there's a certain politics of respectability, a certain discomfort with how, particularly, her work is about Lavani and Tamasha, and there's a certain disrobing that happens over there. May not necessarily always be in the physical sense of disrobing, but there's a certain disrobing of the dignity of a Dalit woman by making her perform. Just like how you make somebody go down a manhole, you make somebody perform, you make somebody a Devdasi. I suppose some of the trauma comes from there. And in a classical feminist sense, taking off the veil is a revolutionary act. In a different context, particularly in the case of Dalit self-respect movements, wearing clothes, perhaps sometimes even putting on a ghungat, may be an act of reclaiming dignity, an act of assertion, as opposed to in a straight-jacketed way to see it as an anti-feminist thing. Help us see some of these things, and particularly because, see, Akka, you're not just from a Dalit community, you come from the Madiga community, where women particularly Madiga women, have faced this kind of oppression, where they have been forced into performing for the pleasure of others. So these are like intergenerational traumas that are perhaps accumulated, right? How do you see this?
See, I think the first generation of educated fathers, they have always tried to groom their, especially the female children, in a particular way. They have to study, they have to become big, all those things. That has a long past of the Dalit women getting oppressed, not just oppressed, humiliated. See, the question of choice is very, very important. When I have the choice that, I will dance, I will act. But when you are make me to dance and force me to dance and tell that you have to dance for me, there is a difference. So when all this becomes classic, it is looked upon. And when it happens in a particular way, it is degraded. That you have to, I really question. We all come from different location. From your location, that is the liberty. And from my location, this is the liberty. Gandhi wearing this dhoti, Ambedkar wearing the coat is a metaphor for me. Gandhi has to wear and come down. Ambedkar has to wear and come up. And we have to meet in one ground. That I feel, that is, the ground of equality. And I did not choose the popular theatre and popular, mainstream media, because I was, I did my first workshop in 1985 or 86, of Badal Sarkar from West Bengal, who introduced the concept called third theatre. I was deeply influenced by that. He said, he believed, theatre, you have to take the theatre to the people, not the people should come to the theatre. And you performing on the stage with all the lights and the people who are watching, sitting in the dark. He did not believe in that, though I have done, proscenium theatre also. So that really impressed me. And how to put my art into my activism. Activism is not just, the speech. For me, a poem is a political statement. A play is a political statement. This is what I learned from my theatre teacher, Badal Sarkar. It's going to be a centenary in July.
Actually, when you talk about Badal Sarkar, you often talk about how that whole third theatre movement made you aware of your body, aware of the beauty, the limitations,
Yes.
Of your body. And it came, again, I'm judging based on years of just listening to you speak and all that. I'm imagining this coming to you a little after Vimochana happens. So there is a certain feminist awakening that has already happened.
Yes.
You're already some kind of a Marxist. And then you discover this theatre form.
Theatre.
And you often start talking about the politics of body. What is this politics of body? What is body politics? What does it mean to you? And for me, for somebody like you, talking about body politics is exciting already, because we are talking about untouchable bodies here.
Yes.
So what does body politics mean for you?
Actually, what I learned from the feminist movement is, the politics of body and the analysis of patriarchy, which is very, very important for all the movement. See, one, you said this is a body, not just a female body, but a female body of a particular caste, which is treated as low, which is not even, you can't even touch that body. And as it is, women is nothing but a body. But we were exploring what is this body is all about. Why should I be ashamed of my body? And in a typical sense, I don't fit into the typical beauty framework also. With my big nose and with my buck teeth and etc. I knew, because society made me understand, made me realize that I am not a beautiful woman. I was not a bright student also that way. I was not a gold medalist, etc. But here I got the confidence. Yes, what is wrong with this body and what is wrong with the process which happens in my body? We were exploring what is menstruation, what happens during the menstruation, why that should be treated as something impure. All those things I learned. That time I was exposed to this theatre which talks about the body, and my theatre teacher says, the wonderful theatre tool is your body. Use, the other instruments limitedly, use this. And there, I started exploring what is wrong. Otherwise, I don't have a beautiful teeth, so I should not, laugh. So wholeheartedly laughing publicly, using my body, I learned from my theatre. That way my guru is also a feminist. and this understanding of patriarchy, which works right from the top till the bottom. When I say patriarchy, it is, I am not just different, I am exclusive. Naan ellarginta migilu. I am exclusive. And there is so much of power associated. When I say patriarchy, it is power. When I say caste, it is power. When I say class, it is power. So much of power is associated. It is the the value, patriarchal value I am questioning, not the men. We are all victims of caste, class, gender, sexuality, whatever discrimination we have, and we have to mutually understand each other. And we have got such big walls, such thick walls, Often I say, we need visa and passport to reach out to you, to reach out to him, to reach out to... We are islands in the name of caste, class, gender. Civil society didn't know how these Parakarmikas live. They don't know what they can take from them. I'm not telling that, when I say, this struggle was for dignity. Dignity includes good working condition and good salary and respect. And you can take many things. If this world tries and explore what their world is, they are deeply spiritual. They have got many things to give it to the civil society. That is what my research speaks. It talks about their cultural and spiritual life.
Your PhD.
Yeah.
This is, I think, a good time to get into... You brought up walls. So let's discuss walls. Because there is a wall which you have, which is of your own creation, which prevents you from seeing. It is a wall that could be made up of your caste privilege, your class privilege, your gender privilege. But seen from another point of view, you can also look at how these walls start developing in civil society, where gender becomes a contradiction, patriarchy becomes a contradiction, caste, class becomes a contradiction, and then you see different formations emerging. To go from one formation to the other, like you said, you need a visa and a passport, which is somebody becomes an Ambedkarite, somebody becomes a Marxist, somebody becomes a feminist. And often we see that it is very closely linked to their own identity. The Marxists are mostly men. The feminists are mostly Savarna women. The Ambedkarites are mostly men. These kind of identities complicate these ideologies. Many of us are not able to negotiate these boundaries. We cut away, for example. But you are somebody who has managed to somehow straddle the contradictions, accept them. You brought up Shiva, in the sense of swallowing the poison, right? Like Neelakanta and all of these kind of metaphors we talk about. You have managed to swallow some of the toxicity that emerges out of these conflicts and still work with everybody. You worked with Ambedkarite groups, you worked with Marxist groups, you worked with feminist groups, while pointing out their contradictions, while making them uncomfortable. Can we go into this space? It's how do we go into it step by step? So let's again go back the same way. So you're looking at Vimochana. Vimochana is giving you a certain feminist awakening. You're looking at the politics of body. It's giving you a sense of who you are, what your place is as a Dalit woman among other bodies. At what point are you encountering contradictions in these movements? Let's look at, say, Marx. What was the first that moment where the romance is lost? When you discover something which is not what you imagine, what happens?
No, romance will never get over.
What happens when you
I'm
encounter
a passionate
contradiction?
lover.
Okay, so in the lover, in that expression of love, when you see a contradiction, how do you deal with it? And give me anecdotes and examples. Let's start with Marxism.
So whether Marxism or feminism or Ambedkarism, I see them as they are the lenses to understand the inequality, discrimination, oppression, alienation. So we need all these things, and we need to struggle, keep in touch with us simultaneously. That doesn't mean that honey and sugar, let's all come together. We don't have the difference at all. Not like that. We need to understand the contradictions. See, when you confront, something new will emerge. If you don't confront it at all, everything will be remaining, hush, hush. This first I tried myself to speak out. For example, why these Parakarmikas belong to one particular caste, majority of them. It should bother the Marxists. This is not a new thing I am talking. Baba Sahib talks about, when he's working with the mill workers. When there was a common strike called, you know the story better than me. So what happened? See, the kind of oppression in the name of gender, caste, you need not just a theoretical understanding. You need to empathize with that. What happens to a woman or a man to tell that, you are not supposed to enter. You are not supposed to eat with us. What kind of a pain it causes is one thing. Another thing is, to face this, people forget their own self. This I have seen among the sex workers, I have seen among the Devdasis, I have seen among the manual scavengers. You forget. You alienate yourself. They dig their self deeply, bury it. For that you require another exercise. So I request, I fight, I question all my Marxist comrades to be with the Parakarmika struggle. That's how you were asking about the support group. The reason why, we wanted to have a support group is, this is problem of the society. Everybody should come. And these people, they are fighting their battles in a different field. Whether it is class struggle or actually LGBT movement also supported. In the beginning, they came, all the applications were filled by them. We used to go with the bag, go in search of, they had a union, they had a membership, one photo on the top and one anguta chap on the dump. This is all we have. Which labor commissioner will accept this as a union membership form? To tell them that this is the union of 2,000 people. So we used to take those things. She's the one. Run after and find out. What's your name? Who is your owner? In which ward you are working? What kind of work you do? That's how we, fill the forms. 99.
So in 99, other labor movements led by communists have gained
I think
quite
all major trade unions, they supported, for our rallies, whatever the protest we had, whatever, the discussion the state called or the commissioner called, they all came.
Akka, correct me if I'm wrong over here. Now we are talking about how the communists are not able to see the caste and the gender aspect in this kind of work, conservancy work, Parakarmika work. Why is it that we rarely see Ambedkarite organizations getting involved in Safai Karamchari struggles? Have you not noticed this as one of the things? Because the most of the Ambedkarite movement is focused on questions of dignity, surely. There are atrocities that are a big area of focus. There is the question of political representation, which is a big area of focus. Literature, assertion, counter narratives are all areas of focus. Manual scavenging, Safai Karamcharis, civic workers rarely become the main focus area of Ambedkarite groups. Why do you think that is the case?
No, DSS in the beginning, they took this as a important issue. I
In the
think
beginning
in
means when
I think it was during 80s only. In Chitradurga, there was an organization. I can't remember the leader's name. They took it very seriously, and the symbol of DSS was a broom, if you remember. It was not this broom, that broom. It did take it up,
which is why
but it did not consistently continue.
which is what I kind of find strange, right? Because as a metaphor, when we're talking about the Dalit experience, the broom becomes a very, very powerful metaphor. It is something that allows us to build discourse, from that's where the conversation starts, saying that we are not the hammer and sickle people. We are the broom people. And that's a very important distinction, right? Despite it being such a strong metaphorical reference or a political reference in Dalit discourse, Ambedkarite discourse, in organizing, in activism, in agitations, you will not find, not just in
Actually,
Karnataka, elsewhere also. Yes, you will find, okay, here's another thing. So, a lot of sweepers, conservancy workers come from the Madega community.
they're from Halaya community also. Yeah.
But largely
Yes.
in different states in the south, you will find around.
I have a statistics in my research.
Alva. Could that be one of the reasons that,
No, actually, this is a community with such humility and stigma attached. They become very alienated, and you need a different process altogether to enter into their territory and, win their trust and work. I myself understood this. This journey was not an easy journey, Sudipto. Me, closely connected with the Parakarmika movement. Actually, I changed. You can say, Saraswathi before Parakarmika is another Janma. After Parakarmika is another Janma. I thank all my Parakarmika, friends for changing my life to become a better human being. As I told you before, the kind of alienation people who are stigmatized undergo and the kind of violence, you need a different strategy altogether. When I say this, I'm not just talking in the air. I myself realized till, we were battling with the state, filing the cases, building the union, mobilizing money, mobilizing support, and mobilizing publicity. We were very good, including me. I say we were part of the middle class intervention. Okay? And we won the battle of getting minimum wage. Minimum wage was 1,800. Just 1,800. We were fighting for the minimum wage. And one fine day, we were told, this does not come under minimum wage list at all. I was shocked. This work, which they do regularly, does not come under minimum wage list. Labour Commissioner told why it does not come is because this is a work which has to be done regularly, which is of a perennial nature. And the job which is of a perennial nature should not be given for a contract which the state itself was giving. I mean, when I say corporation, it is part of the state was giving. Why? Globalization, liberalization. Yes, they want to outsource it. And it took, and I think in 2017 they said they'll come under direct payment, and then grade by grade they will be regularized, and now it is 2025 May. When I understood all these things they wanted, they were running after us. We were running. Today this case, today we will have the protest, today we will have the press meet, this we will do the fact finding, that will be released. They were doing everything what we required. They were running. We were running, they were backside. Then when the real challenge came to build the collective leadership of the workers, because I refused to become the office bearer of the union, thinking that I come from a particular class background. So I don't mind working to build the collective leadership. And in the process of building, anyway, that union is no more active, I started looking into their life. And in their life, which I was completely ignorant, that changed my life. Then I got into their spiritual practices, then I got into their cultural practices, then I looked, as a community, what they eat, how they do marriages, everything. I discovered a different world. That world, I am just putting it through my literature and my play to this world. Not, as one pathetic people. Everybody wants, during the rainy season, when they lift the garbage and put it on their head, and when everything falls on them, they have to be photographed. I refuse. Don't take the photograph. I've told the press people, no, when we are protesting, you take the photo. Don't, come with the cameras when they get into the manholes. You talk to them as human beings when they are free of their work. So this picture, I want to show it to the other world, which they don't know. People are ignorant. We don't know each other. When I say we have a thick wall, you don't know me. I don't know you. But we talk. Sudipto, yes, I can just make a lot of sweeping statements. Muslims, we will make a statements. All 5 women, 25. Do I have a friend? Have I ever gone? Recently in West Bengal, people have protested. Garment women have protested. It's a beautiful metaphor for me. During the Ramzan, they have protested. And when they want to go, for their fasting and for the prayer, all the Hindu women used to come and sit there. And they had iftar under the tent. And they used to cook together. So we don't know. We have to know each other as human beings. Just, peep, get into, just silently watch their life. Witness what you see. Then I think we will have a better understanding.
Now, this is about the understanding that you develop about the community for whose emancipation you are working. In that work, you have to collaborate with people.
Can I say, there are struggle for dignity than
Yes,
emancipating.
a struggle for dignity, struggle for wages, struggle for a lot of the struggle itself is one aspect, and in that you speak about how you learned from the people who you sought to represent. But then there are people with whom you collaborated as well, and these collaborations is what we find very difficult in civil society because of these ideological walls. Particularly in the case of Dalit intellectuals, Ambedkarites, they find it very difficult to collaborate with feminists, with Ambedkarites, with Marxists, and things like that. And you have succeeded in an area where a lot of people have failed. Where do you think your success has come from in these collaborations, and where do you think other Ambedkarite Dalit leaders could not build those collaborations? Why do you think that happened?
I don't know whether to call it a success. I'm struggling, I can say. And my Dalit politics come from DSS. And I've got deep respect for DSS. Among the Dalits, in my own experience, as I was telling in the context of why Dalit women were not let to act, or for us, these kind of sexual exploitation and as manual scavengers, that's a past which is so heavy like lead. Many of the Dalits, they just want to get rid of the past. They don't want to look into the past. It's quite a painful thing to dig. It's like, digging your own self. Okay. And my request is Dalit groups have to take this as a priority issue. And whenever I have called for a support, and all the Dalit groups have come.
Which issue is a priority?
Parakarmika issue, manual
Right,
scavengers issue,
Right.
and the Devdasi issue. All these things should become the priority, I'm telling. I'm not telling that, they have neglected, they have ignored. Not that. That should become the priority, I feel. And to build this support, I felt, this sectarianism will not help us. All of us are interested to build a world of equality. And the discrimination and the inequality happens in different names. If we don't come together, how will we achieve this? In the feminist movement, if you don't talk about if you don't politically discuss the issue of caste and involve, all these laboring women, working class women, religious minority women, we can't, give a whole picture of Indian feminism.
Here, I'll go back to an argument you might not remember that we had outside. I think it was Ranga Shankara, where you were talking about this, and one of us, asked you, but that's a lot of work, because we are Dalit Ambedkarites. We have lived experience combined with a certain amount of scholarship in a certain ideology. Why should we put in the labor of educating somebody, making them, aware of things that they have not put in effort to become aware of themselves? Like we often talk about caste blindness, right? ಕಣ್ ಮುಚ್ಚಿರೋರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ಬಿದ್ದು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಎಬ್ಸೋದು ಏನಕ್ಕೆ? ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ನೀಡ್? ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸಿಂಗ್ ವಿದಿನ್ ದ Dalit universe. Some people would provocatively say, it's a waste of time for me to go and awaken some Savarna. How do you respond to that?
I feel we all are connected. There is no boundary. What happens to Palestinian women and children? It creates pain in my heart. We think that we are not connected. And all our so-called knowledge and education has not made us to realize this bond as human beings. You can build the wall. It's nothing but becoming powerful. And power, we feel, is a victory. Patriarchy. Yes, I feel most powerful people as most weak. You can destroy life. You can't even create a small little life of an ant. For me, this activism helps me to find that connection. Of course, we are ignorant. And sometimes, just because we are ignorant, we say that doesn't exist. Even to this day, people say, a person who came for the population census. Madam, do you think it is still existing? I asked, to which caste you belong to? After coming to know, I said, tomorrow morning, will you call me for breakfast? It's not that when I say that, my only aim is to come and eat breakfast in your house or, take an entry to the temple. It's not that. Baba Sahib started this temple entry thing as part of the struggle, not as the one agenda. So they don't know. They're ignorant. When somebody is ignorant, you have to make an effort to make them know. And I will continue to do my job. It's not that, my only business is to make you enlighten about our existence.
But in this effort that you put, this education that you are investing in, often we find that there's some appropriation also. That things that people have learned from Du Saraswati get presented in a Columbia, in a JNU, by a Savarna upper caste person, and without any citation, without any credit. Okay, we know you, we have known you, we cherish you as a as a leading light in Karnataka. But somewhere we also feel that there are so many people who you have educated, who.
First of all, don't call, leading light. Buddha says, each one is capable of enlightenment and you are a guru of your own self. For me, knowledge is something, when you controls, it becomes a shastra. When you let it out, that is wisdom. We have been singing, we have been telling stories. In fact, recently I told in one of the Uma Chakravarti's things, I can also claim, I also come from a family of historians because we had a lot of stories. My father, who knew the map of Karnataka like his lines on his hand, I couldn't, cheat him. I used to go away with my friends, we are going, going to such and such a place. Which route you took? Madam. ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಚಳ್ಕೆರೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರಿ and any place where is Metikurke? Metikurke, it is famous for honeycombs, and it's in Chitradurga district. So you just let it, when you just control it, it doesn't become a knowledge. Like Ramaya song, many people sing.
Yes, but then there is something which is quite sharp in its criticism. They say they took our land, they took our dignity, they sucked our blood, they took everything that we had in material form, and then they came back for our stories. Right. The reason, okay, now see, Uma Chakravarti is a great reference to have over here. I have a lot of respect for her work, but when we talk about the oppression from Brahminical patriarchy, these have the stories of oppression has led to a theory of oppression. Right. The theory of oppression is Uma Chakravarti's. If you Google Brahminical patriarchy, you will find Uma Chakravarti. Right. And the experience of that oppression is coming from somewhere else, and it becomes theory somewhere else, which is why I think this thing of theoretical Brahmins and empirical
Shudras. Gopal Guru says about that.
Yeah.
This gendering caste, I think first time, when this question of caste was, just struck to this sisterhood which we were talking after this Mondal violence. That was the time Uma Chakravarti wrote that book. And it's a very valid book. It has been translated into, Kannada. From her location, what she did is a very good one. how, as a Dalit feminist, I look and analyze, I think for this, many criticism has come from the Dalit feminists also. So, when you, I think it was, she talks about, Brahminical patriarchy. Then she took back saying that, we should tell, Dalit and patriarchy, not, Dalit patriarchy or Brahminical patriarchy. Though it has, it has come, all the Manuvada has come from Brahminical patriarchy. It has deep down, it has come, and all of us have Manu in our hearts. So it has been questioned, it has been, argued out also, but she took the effort to write that book. I have respect for that. And she raised this question. At the same time, Urmila Power, she was part of the feminist movement also. The kind of question she raised and how she tried to balance between Dalit feminism and the mainstream feminism. And Rajni Tilak, sadly we lost her, she recently died, was raising a lot of question, trying to build, a bridge between the feminism, mainstream feminism and the Dalit feminism. So it began with that, Gendering Caste, and Charmila Rege's book, which recently it was published in Kannada, I translated. And it has been deeply discussed also among the Dalit women also. For me, we need to confront because we will grow. If you don't confront and if you just reject this, I have a problem with that. And start telling, there is no caste. And at the same time, about identity politics, whatever is spoken, I feel my identity is a permanent. As long as there is caste system in India, I will remain a Dalit. It is there. And I have to accept this reality. For me, understand identity politics is, yes, stand where you are standing, but you can branch out. Maybe one fine day, if all identities vanish and just as Homo sapiens, if we can live, I dream for that. But when it is there, I have to fight this reality. And with this same identity, I have to fight. I can't just throw away my caste and fight, for a casteless society. I have to be aware because each time I am made aware.
Right. Thanks for that reflection. Akka, I have one more area I want to discuss with you, but I think I'm going to have to reduce it to just a question and a response, perhaps. All of your work makes people question or makes people wonder about this thing of how much do you reject and how much do you take and transform. Why am I saying this? Because of one of the things which I noticed first about you, which is your play Sanatimi, where you do a counter-telling of the Ramayana from the point of view of Sita. In which so there are counter-tellings from the point of view of Ravana, right? There is this entire Asura counter narrative, and just the other day I had one author called Anand Neelakantan who was here, who's written this book called Asura. So there is this entire counter to Rama from Ravana, but then there is a Sannatimmi, your creation, who counters both these men, makes them look like the real fools that they are, guys with big chests and big arms and really small brains, right? All of that exciting stuff is happening
They don't have common sense.
They don't have common sense. All of those dialogues, they're still, fresh in my mind. Yeah. Where you are, to use a Bangalore colloquialism, you're tupping at them, right? This Ravana and this figure of Rama. But then, if you want to get critical, I mean, which is what analysis of ideologies is all about. One may ask, why do we have to even get into Ramayana? Why can't we reject that whole thing and forget that this is part of our consciousness and develop a new consciousness. We have Periyar, we have Ambedkar, who talk about rejection. So some of the criticism I've heard about your work is that it's all fantastic, it's humorous, it is provocative, it is so radical. But why do we have to deal with Ramayana? Why can't we just move away from that whole thing? How do you respond to that? Beka namge Ramayana beka, Mahabharata beka namge anta.
See, after all this, me getting exposed to different movements, etc. As I told you, when I got into Parakarmika movement, I really started looking at people, the real people. All my university degree, whatever I had learned, I just, it was like a relearning, forget everything. Ramayana exists for them. Rama exists for them. My own grandfather used to perform the role of Sita. Then I started looking how they look at Rama. Every village has got its own stories. Then I realized the Indian culture, broadly if we can divide, one is water culture and one is fire culture. And this water culture, which is very cyclical in nature, it starts from a drop, it becomes an ocean, and again it evaporates, and again it comes down as a rain. There is no up and down and superior, inferior, nothing. Everything is a cycle. This cyclical philosophy I believe in. This cyclical culture I believe in. For them, God is who is very dear to them, who is a friend. They can even, spit on him. They can fight with him. They can shout. And at the same time, they will rely on him also. In my thesis, when I have interviewed, there are many interesting stories when I interviewed them. Then for them, God is something who just listens to them like human beings. They are as vulnerable as any human beings. Shh. Don't tell loudly. She. Kalmunde. Avella tinnala avಳು. If one goddess, she doesn't eat non-veg, the other one eats non-veg. Okay, don't tell, she'll get angry. As though, she's listening. The way, their tone and their posture, everything changes. So I believe in this. And I get my politics from them. For them, the Sita was real. They could identify their pain with Sita. And I have seen, many women scolding Rama, supporting Sita, and how Sita was so powerful. When she started walking, even the poisonous snake and the scorpions, they left away. Do you think Sita would have kept quiet all these 14 years walking with these two men? She would have seen. Imagine, it is a forest. Forest is like, a biggest university. So many things she must have learned. So I thought, for this Rama, many poor people, they can't go to a Rama temple. They can't even imagine traveling 2-3 days. So then this thing came. And there is one more thing is, they are non-literates. I don't want to call them illiterates, but they are very knowledgeable. They are very wise. Their experience, in fact, the complex concept, the way they understand, the kind of questions they used to throw at me, I was not able to answer them. They asked me, I have done a lot of studies on food also, and this Parakarmika also. When I went in search of this food system of Karnataka, they said, to write this about this stale food and this kara, ittu, roti, gongura chutney, You're going to write all this and get money for this, huh? And a degree? So you tell me who is a scholar? The people who live with that knowledge are the Saraswathi who gets the degree. I think the people who live with the knowledge. And no copyright.
It goes back to the question of who is a farmer, the one who owns the land or the one who grows the crop.
Yes. Yes. So this Santimi series began, village, Dalit, those who can't read and write. We think, they have to be reformed and all these blocks we have. So I wanted to, reclaim that, through Santime. It's a particular dialect I use. Try and understand. All these years I have understood English. I've learned to speak English. I've learned Sanskrit in the school. I know Hindi. I can read, write and speak. Just, learn this. This is also national language. So I started writing Santimi series. It's not just Ramayana. I have written Buddhayana. I have written Saundarya Purana. When this beauty pageant thing was happening, what is this bloody concept of beauty? Santimi gives another interpretation to the beauty. And this love, concept of love. I have dedicated this Love Purana to Familial.
That was supposed to be one of my questions. I wanted to ask, so you have all these very radical ideologies, Marxism, feminism, Ambedkarism. And then in the case of Saraswati, she adds another very liberal coating of love, which I've heard you speak about it. You've learned a lot from the LGBT movement.
Yes.
Can we use that as a closing section? Tell me how. So you have Marxism, Ambedkarism, feminism, and then this layer of love. Let's use that as the final layer in this conversation.
They have extended my vision of love, to put it in one line. What is this love is all about? It's just, a straight woman, straight man. Or it is just the feeling which comes without any boundaries. How can I question? This is just the Romeo Juliet is the love story. I can't. Kuvempu's, Gutti and Timmy are my favorite lovebirds. Aita and Pinchlu are also, the same way. I've learned. My vision was broadened by them. So I'm very closely connected with their movement also. And I feel whoever is oppressed, whoever is, suffers from the oppression. And if I believe in a society of equality, if I'm dreaming about that, let all this oppression get over. There should be no inequality, no oppression, no discrimination in any name, caste, class, gender, sexuality, anything, disability, anything. And we have to question the so-called normal, powerful structure which oppresses everyone and only few people live. Recently, Maitri has spoken in Chandana TV. Like 96% of the wealth, lies with just the 3% and ulta with 3% is held by the 97%. This is the power in the name of class, caste, gender, sexuality. That should be broken. And to break that, we have to come together. We have to come together. Why it has existed for so many years, for so many centuries is through appropriation, through co-option, through subjugation. Sometimes by force, sometimes by very neatly co-opting, sometimes by appropriating. I've got several examples. In most of the rituals, for example, in Anantapur, there is every year a fair happens. During that time, a Madiga person holding a lamp will walk on the street till the temple. And throughout his walking, people from the upper caste, they put a cloth so that he walk on that cloth and, keep the lamp in front of the temple. This you may see, upper caste people doing this to an untouchable caste. These are the things I see it as, yes, once a year you are considered as very pure, very important person. But what happens the rest of the 364 days or 365 days is very important. Making me feel very important one day, or very nicely, if you read Shankar Mukashi Punekar's book, the contribution of Panchamas to the Indian culture, there also many things have been taken by the upper caste from the lower caste. For example, the cross thread they put it, and in the end, inside the knot, they put a small wooden piece, which used to be the small piece of a skin taken from the Madiga community. And in some of the auspicious days, upper caste people, they carry the water from the Madiga people. That is considered as very auspicious. Through this various co-option and appropriation and subjugating them and forcing them, this caste system, this is how this is existing. And when we talk about this, we need to understand these things very importantly, because often in the name of culture, caste is justified. For me, for my own understanding, culture is something which the human beings, with the interaction of the with the nature, they have developed. It has a larger meaning. It's a big canvas. And to whatever geographical area we belong to, if you closely observe, all our cultural practices comes from this. I have no problem with this. But in the name of culture, certain things are co-opted. There I have the problem. So we have to see the culture and see this, caste practices which are justified. We just have to separate them and see them. Let us confront, let us have the dissent. And I believe, I believe in democracy. What Baba Sahib spoke of. For him, I just want to read.
Oh, you brought something?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
He says, nationality. What is a nation? Is a social feeling of corporate sentiment of oneness. And I'm proud of him, coming from the oppressed community. He dreams of equality. He's not dreaming of only one particular section, whether it is Jyotiba Phule or Savitriba Phule or my father, my mother. How, for me, the real search, even in future also, how this oppressed people, talk of healing, talk of the world. There is, I think, who is the one who poet talks about Begumpura?
Tukaram? No, Begumpura? No. जहाँ पे गम नहीं हो,
जहाँ पे गम
नहीं हो, which is
this is written in
Gail Omet's book, no?
Gail Omet's
Seeking Begumpura.
Seeking Begumpur. Ravidas. See, a chamar dreams of a society where there is no pain. Everybody eats what they want. They roam around. That. This is the nation he talks of. And democracy, he says, not majority versus minority. Each and every voice should be given importance. That is why when there is a majority government, they have to make it sure all the minorities will be safe. And dissent should be given importance. Dissent is the essence of democracy and constitutional morality. If you believe in constitution, you should not practice untouchability, you should not practice caste. And if I believe in my own caste roles or my religious roles, I should not be allowed to your house. This cannot happen. We have to develop this constitutional morality and the civic sense, which I spoke in the beginning. And lastly, you were talking about ism. All are required. We need all this lens to understand, because it is such a deep rooted, which is being, carried on from generation to generation. We need all these lenses. And I believe in rainbow. Means all the people who are fighting against discrimination, inequality, oppression, sabhi ko satrangi salam. And who I am, the question comes back to me. I am one unit and part of this big unit. And I am connected. As unity, I have my own, one unit, I have my own autonomy. And I connect wherever I am from with this whole universe, not just the world, the universe. So I was just thinking who I am. Those who picked iotas of symphony in each atoms of hide and brought out the nada. Those who picked iotas of symphony in each atoms of hide, worn by roof of muscles, and brought out the nada. Those who picked iotas of symphony in each atoms of hide, worn by roof of muscles, on a nest of bones, and brought out nada. Those who caught the pulse of nada, personifying into divinity, through their fingers, filled with bones, marrows, blood, flesh, and life, interacting with the melody, ingrained in the atoms of a dead skin, remained outside when divinity turned into idol. And one more thing. I am a daughter of water Ganga, laughs belly full when volcano blasts and lava runs all over, boiling the body. I am a daughter of Ganga, lifesaver. Wet eyes, tongue, vagina dries and splits like stone, yet I smile like a grass sprouting between the rocks. I am a daughter of Ganga who gushes out of a rock like a fountain, dipped in drains, gutters, yet I smile like a saint. I am a daughter of sacred Ganga who washes away filth. Skin of my body burnt into desert, yet I laugh like a cool breeze. I am a daughter of Oasis Ganga. Inside the deep pit, grief churns like a whirlpool, yet I laugh. I am a daughter of Ganga, the whirlpool, who taught me. Be a stubborn child and a yogi. Stand like a stone. Then comes up the smile, like a light and warm butter. Burden me, chain me, watch me, guard me. Yet I laugh like a freedom who pierced the rocks with her speed. Ganga, who made Chamar's Boki her home. Ganga, who falls for efforts. Ganga, who occupies the netti of a lover. Ganga, who holds to her bosom the newborns and smell the unjoined scalp. Namaste.
You threw me off completely. Wow, I was not expecting that. That is, from where is that poem?
Actually, I was asked to write for a song in a classical form. So I was just thinking, again I got into who I am, what I am. Who I am means, this is not this single person. There is a whole world in one unit, and there is a big world. So each single person is a world in himself or herself, or they, he, she, they, everyone. So every being should be respected. Every human being, any living being, should be loved. And how to love, it's not easy. It comes from wisdom and compassion. Without compassion, no intellectual work is complete, I feel. So wisdom and compassion should go together. That's why Baba Sahib included equality, fraternity, and freedom. And without this fellow feeling, this equality and freedom has no meaning. So that's why I believe in the politics of love, which makes me to respect everything. And love. It's not that I love, I try. He is acknowledging, he's telling what I'm telling. He accepted.
That is Superman snoring in the background. Akka, thank you. This is as much time we have today. But I suppose for me, I'm still forming my thoughts. I'm still going to watch this later and process this, what you have said. It'll take multiple, I have to watch it multiple times to really process what you've said today. With many profound things to consider. One, I suppose, is it's making me reconsider the term intersectionality, because what you are trying to talk about, I suppose, is interconnectedness, which is a bigger concept than intersectionality of various oppressed groups. But that, who knows, we may have another opportunity to have this discussion. For now, that's as much time as I have. This has been so fantastic. I choked up many times during the course of this interview. Thanks for opening your heart to us. And this just one quick thing I want to tell our audience. You might have noticed that now there have been 40 episodes of this show. Throughout, the struggle has been to grapple with ideas that will get us out of where we are today. I feel like even in the so-called secular progressive media, our conversations get bracketed, get focused on just one question, which is, oh, well, there is this fascist government, there is this premier with dictatorial tendencies. The whole question gets narrowed down to the BJP, the Sangh and Modi. And conversations such as this, I think, should force us to consider how much there is at stake, how many conversations are pending, how much more there is to discuss beyond just communalism, Modi, BJP. And by having those conversations, in fact, we are addressing this very thing and the root of where some of these problems, where their root is. So for all this effort, I want you to think for a second how we put this together. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of time to put these kind of shows together. And I want you to try and support us. It took 4 people to produce this simple episode. Some of the episodes that I've shot from outside, you've seen many more people, many more pieces of equipment have been used and all of that. So long story short, please support this effort. Subscribe to the News Minute. Subscribe to the News Laundry. And there is this one particular scheme that I want you to know about. It is the reporting fund that we have. We have 3 types of funds over there. One is you can either give 10,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. This reporting fund is our kitty. which we use for emergencies. You might have watched our coverage of the recent India-Pakistan violence. We had to depute reporters to the border. All of this costs money. Most of our reporters are women. We have to ensure their safety, the fact that they're traveling safely, staying safely, all of that costs money. So if you don't want to subscribe, if you're already a subscriber, maybe you would want to consider contributing to our reporting fund. That's all I have time for over here. Do Saraswati, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, for sharing your love. I hope we can have you here once again.
Yes. Thank you very much. And please forgive all of you who are all, viewing. Please forgive, if I have hurt anybody.
Hardly. You can't hurt a fly. Thank you. That was Do Saraswati and her ism. You can write to me, tell me what you thought about this interview at sudipto@thenewsminute.com. Thank you for watching.